Thank you for tuning in. I'm Alana, your special guest host for today, as I'll be interviewing Sam and Ross about the Lumber Jacket. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello, thank you for offering to co-host again. It's always nice when I want to talk about myself and things that I'm interested in. I've got someone who can jump in and interview me. That's always nice. So thank you again. And for anyone who has watched episodes where Alana has been the guest host before, yes, this is still the same person. She's undergone a little bit of a transformation since then, but rest assured it is the same person. Even more beautiful version.
Shorter. Yeah. Next time my head will be shaved.
Don't go down that route.
Yeah, no. While you still have a choice in the matter. Isn't that right?
Enjoy it.
True. All right, so let's jump into it. I guess the big question of today is, what is the Lumber Jacket?
That's an interesting question. What is it? It's a mobile device that should help someone manage back pain or hopefully avoid back pain, as it's quite flexible and versatile. I think me and Sam are no stranger to back pain, i.e. with ourselves or helping people manage or overcome it at times. And it's something that we hope will find its place with people that are struggling with such things. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. And essentially, it's a jacket with a built-in lower back support. So it's basically, we have an inflatable air cushion, if you like, that's built into this sort of custom-made and relatively fashionable garment. And allows the user to inflate that back support without having to carry around a separate device. So that's basically the gist of the product.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds pretty interesting. So how did you come up with this idea?
That would be my fault on that one. So in my younger years, stupidly so, I was trying to achieve certain targets in the gym. And you're going to run into some wear and tear along the way, and you're going to get some aches and pains. And I'm no stranger to injury, unfortunately. And I found myself, there's so many different lumbar devices out there, some that you can attach to chairs. They tend to, they're very malleable, they're very bendy, they tend to deform over time. So they only last for a little while. Also, I found it wasn't very good for traveling. So I looked into traveling devices. And there were some great inflatable ones, ones with the pump or ones that you had to use your breath, And it was awkward for me because when I had to find space for an extra device, okay, i.e. I had to have it in my hand or I had to put it into my luggage if I was, those plane chairs are awful. They're always concave and puts your spine to flexion, makes things worse. So I had to find more room for things. And then when I actually got to use it, I'd have to pull it behind me and hope I could push myself against the seat so it wouldn't move, which isn't comfortable. You can't keep that level of tension all the time. And also I'm twisting all the time. And that's actually aggravating my injury in some cases and creating more pain just to try and put something there to help my pain. So all these things just kept mounting up. And what I tended to do, I couldn't be bothered with a device, to be honest with you, just taking up too much time and effort. So I used to carry my jacket and I used to just roll my jacket up and just pull it behind me and sit there like that. And one day, hey presto, I was like, if that was inside my jacket, literally it would hold itself there. I wouldn't need to push into the chair to hold it there. And if I had an inflatable device, I could change its capacity at any moment. It wouldn't deform on me. I could keep it changing with my level of comfort, and it just made sense.
I remember Sam actually bringing foam rollers and these balls on the aeroplane. And once we had kids, I'm like, I'm sorry, I need help. You can't carry that anymore. We need extra things for the babies. You'll probably end up with a nappy bag behind his back at one point.
Yeah. When you're desperate, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I can remember I was walking back, it's probably 2 years ago now, walking back from a lunch with Ross, and he was saying, have you ever seen a jacket with a built-in lumbar support? And I said, no, that's an amazing idea. Where can I buy one of those? And he said, well, no, I don't think you can. It's something I've been thinking about. And so, as soon as he put that idea in my head, I knew it was something that we really needed to pursue. And try to get something like that on the market. It's also, I've talked about this on other episodes of the podcast in relation to things like our ergonomics program and our education program, but it sort of fits in with a bigger mission of mine and of 360's about trying to improve the health of as many people as possible. So, when I was a young clinician, I was just helping my individual clients and patients one by one, and then we opened this business and we trained other professionals to help their individual clients. And what we're doing with the education program is to train up more trainers to help other people in other businesses and other locations. And this sort of fits into that by producing a product which is sort of based on fairly sound science and biomechanics. We can help even more people with a product that is quite easily scalable.
Well, it was that restaurant. I remember that vividly because it was in my mind, and I can be creative in some ways. I can think of names, I can think of logo ideas and colors and designs, but I can't do what you do in any way, shape, or form. And I really respect what you managed to achieve in physiotherapy. I work with a lot of physios over the years, and there's not many that I hold in high regard. And it was almost like I remember walking back, which I was like, I need to mention it to him because I want to see his face. And if his face kind of gives me that look where you're not blinking and you're still for a little bit, where you're processing, you can see the download line going across you. And then if there's a positive reaction after that, I think, it's got legs. And where we go from there, I'm not going to have too much of an idea about, but I know you will. And when I said that, you just kind of looked at me, and I remember there was a light little laugh to begin with, and then the download line started, and then it was like, and then I was just like, right, that's it then. I was like, this is it. This is what I was looking for. And it was validation to me that it wasn't a completely kooky idea, that it had some merit.
I guess, you're both in your fields, you're actually trying to help others, help combat their injuries and, not only just injuries, but basically live their life at the most optimal level without pain. So I guess, why then is back support so important? Because you've obviously designed this to help, well, not just your clients, but everybody with their lumbar support.
Yeah, it's so what we know about lower back pain and what we know about posture is that there's no magical posture. There's no perfect posture that will prevent pain, and there's also no posture that's necessarily going to be causative of pain. Now, based on sort of biomechanics and the structure of our bodies, there are certain positions that may be more advantageous mechanically, but the key with posture is variability. And so by using a device like this, we're able to add variability to the spine. And the fact that it's inflatable, really, it helps achieve that. Having it in the jacket, if it wasn't inflatable, it would just stick out and it would be there the whole time. So it wouldn't really be marketable as a fashion garment. But also, when I started working as a physiotherapist and we had lumbar rolls that we sold as products, they were sort of fixed devices, and the typical Mackenzie lumbar roll. So Robin Mackenzie is a famous physiotherapist from New Zealand. And he was the one that sort of developed this type of technology. Credit to Robert Mackenzie and the whole Mackenzie Institute for pioneering this sort of postural support. But the traditional Mackenzie roll was probably 10 centimeters thick, and for a lot of people, even though it was a cushion and it had some level of give in it, I would have patients that felt that it was just too much support and it would actually push them too far the other way. Without talking too much about specific types of back pain, people in general will be more sensitive to postures or movements in one direction or the other. So people that experience pain predominantly with movements like forward bending and sitting, we would describe those people as being flexion sensitive. And the typical sitting posture is one where the back is curved, is rounded. And there's people that do have pain with prolonged periods sitting in that position. Equally, though, there's people that have pain with movement the other direction. We term these people extension sensitive. These are the people that tend to have more pain with sleeping, more pain with walking, prolonged standing, things like that. But these people will also get pain with sitting if they're sitting in too much of an upright posture. And people will sometimes try to sit upright and almost overdo it. So they're sitting in an arch position, and that will cause them pain. So often people would use a lumbar roll, and if they were extension sensitive, it would push them into that arch position and would actually have the opposite effect to what was desired. And even for those people that are flexion sensitive, because the back is in a sensitized posture, even if we're sort of because the back is in a sensitized state, even if we are trying to push it in the direction that we want, because it's pushing on that sensitized tissue, it still has the capacity to aggravate symptoms. So having the inflatable device makes it a lot easier. But it's actually not as well. It's not those sort of devices aren't as popular as the standard McKenzie roll, which is surprising because you have these McKenzie rolls that have built-in straps that can attach on chairs and things like that, and you don't really find that with the inflatable devices. So it was a really good sort of way to get into the or for us to approach a product that we wanted to get into the market by using that inflatable device. But the other thing when we talk about variability, we can spend a certain amount of our time when we're sitting with the lumbar roll pumped to 20% of the maximum inflatability of, I don't know if that's a word, but of the roll, and then we could maybe pump it up to like 60%. And by doing that, we're changing the angle of our spine ever so slightly throughout the course of the day, and therefore decreasing the amount of time spent with the spine in one position and giving us this sort of much needed variety in our spinal posture. So that's I think I got on a little bit of a tangent there, but in general, we want our spine to adopt as many different postures as possible, and the lumbar jacket helps us do this.
You could have just said that in the first place. I'm just joking. So, I mean, you keep saying that you can inflate it to different levels. So can you actually explain how you use it?
So you would once you purchase the lumbar jacket, Sam's put together some amazing instructions, and you can even, obviously it's going to come with a tubing and a pump, which is as discreet as we can get, but you can thread it through the fabrication, which is all set up for, into the chosen pocket if you're left-handed or right-handed, and it conceals itself within the pocket. And so all you've got to do in order to change, the amount of inflation within the air capsule itself is just pop your hand in your pocket, and you can either open the valve and decrease it a bit, or you can keep the valve tight and just pump it up a bit. And it's perfectly concealed within the jacket. No one sees it. It doesn't stick out. The only concern I've had recently is, how am I going to explain this to the people at security in the airport when I'm trying to get on the plane? I'm like, yeah, okay, I might just put that in the tray and hope it just goes through the x-ray machine.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I've been thinking of that because I'm like,
might need a doctor's note.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, it kind of looks like, something you'd put explosive in, and with a handhold as well. It looks like a trigger. But yeah, other than that issue, which I'm sure will be fine, but yeah, it's quite well concealed. We went through many versions. I mean, it was Wiley's process. Each time me and Sam hit up against a wall, whether it was about the design or another aspect of it, we found ourselves walking into a room with the problem, and very, very few ideas on how to solve it. It was almost bad if we walked in with an idea, because we didn't want to get in the way of the discussion, because the discussion seemed to just solve it automatically. It was the moment we had it there and we just started firing ideas off of each other, it was like, oh, that just solved itself. And one by one, these dominoes began to fall. And there was a lot of dominoes, but one by one, it seemed to be effortless, although long-winded, if that made sense. But,
I've got to say too, though, I mean, sounds like something that you can't put through the washing machine with the bladder. So is it easy to take in and out?
very easy, very easy. The instructions you'll see, you just literally zip along the bottom of the seam and it would expose a device. And it basically sits in between the internal layer and the external layer. And literally all you have to do is just unclip it. We have these little hooks that it just hangs on, which is we were looking at different ways of putting it inside the jacket, and it just seemed too much movement. So in the end, we just thought gravity, let gravity do it. As long as we've got different levels, we can pin it to the level that's best for the person, and it will just hang at the correct height. And all you do is unhook that from the little clips we've got, and you pull it out and wash
Right,
it.
so you can actually adjust inside the jacket of where you would like to position it on your back.
Absolutely, it goes high and as low.
Cool.
Yeah. Hope so. Hopefully it's cool. Hopefully people notice that and don't walk around with the wrong position. But the rules are really good, and the instructions are really good, so people should figure it out.
Those who are actually watching this in the video, you can see Sam wearing the jacket now.
Yeah, I was looking. It looks better on him than it does me. I've only got an extra small here, so I weren't going to risk it.
And we'll actually, for those watching the video, we'll actually have some more footage of how the roll is inserted and what it looks like when it's worn for travel as well. And that's one of the big advantages of this is you know, this really is sort of designed for travel. It can be used for work as well. It can be worn in the office, but yeah, we think the real advantage of this is for people when they're in their cars, when they're on planes and trains. We think this is going to make a big difference for a lot of people in terms of the comfort associated with travel.
Mm. Also, I mean, I have tried it on before, and the inside material is so silky. It feels so good against your skin. It's really enjoyable to wear.
Yeah. So it was something that obviously Ross and I have had zero experience in, was anything to do with fashion. And so we were lucky enough through a contact. I think it was actually a friend of the lady who made your wedding dress. I believe we were hunting for people who could just, you know, put some material together in the shape that we wanted, and we found a really good tailor here who designed it and was able to source some really nice material. So like you said, it's very comfortable. The inner material, it feels great on the skin, and then basically from there we teamed up with a production company whose office is based in Melbourne, Australia, but their factory is based in China. And so that's been a learning experience for us as well, dealing with the China side of things, especially during the pandemic, when when we were trying to get our samples made, was the time where China was on basically complete lockdown. So there were pretty hefty delays with the production. But in the end, we were able to get mass production of a product that we were really, really happy with, both from a functionality perspective, from the quality and the feel of the materials, and also the way that it looks.
I guess, the other thing too is that I always want to know, what is the future of the product? So what do you see happening in the future for the lumber jacket?
Well, myself and Sam, we spoke about that, and there's many ideas buzzing around, and there's many more ways of supporting the spine, and in different areas of the spine too.
And we're not going to talk in too much detail about those in case someone steals our idea.
We're not going to let it out there. But there are more versatile designs that we're looking at bringing up, and maybe even leading into some kind of nightwear. But one of the dominoes that fell for us was, as you were talking about, that wonderful lady who helped us with the garment, who was a very good seamstress and tailor. I mean, once again, we knew nothing about that, and she chose that material. We just wanted something that would stretch if someone was to pump it up to full capacity. That's all we wanted. And then when we felt that material, it was like, oh my God. It's like, and then you were immediately like, can we get more of that down the arm?
I know, because it didn't go all the way down the arm at first, and I was like, that feels really good. I'd really love to feel that on my skin, not just over the top of my t-shirt that's underneath. So yeah.
And also, that's another point as well. We were playing with the idea of different kind of jackets, and then we just came to the realization of, we need something that someone could wear as a fleece if they wanted to, But it's something also you could put your external jacket over and it would conceal it perfectly. And so we were trying to get materials thin enough and stretchy enough. And once again, these things just seemed to fall into place. Like, we were very blessed with her. She was absolutely amazing. She seemed to understand what we were talking about. It was almost like the Matrix. We kind of downloaded that rather than discussed it, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, I suppose the future right now is just to see if this idea takes off. Just to help people, really. I just want to put something out there that's going to help people. Because if they've suffered any way, like me and Sam have probably suffered in the past with our lower back pains, it'd be nice to know there's more out there for people. But there are other ideas, and at some point there'll be a million conversations that'll work their way out, and we'll see if they're able to be made or not. We'll see.
It's all great information about the lumber jacket. It seems very exciting, and it's nice that, you know, especially now that travel is just beginning
Great timing.
Actually good timing. So if somebody would like to purchase your jacket or interested in learning more about your jacket, how do they find you?
Yeah, so at the moment, the jacket is only available in Japan. So those listeners overseas won't be able to purchase it, although we're hoping next year that will change. We're going through Amazon, and we've found that process is relatively straightforward. And if we can organise the shipping routes between China and other parts of the world, most likely Australia and the UK, we know those sort of markets and are able to sort of work our marketing in those markets. But we think that should be available in those countries next year. But at the moment, it's only available in Japan. If you really want one, you can ask me very nicely, and we may send one over for you. But you can go to Amazon in Japan and search for the Lumber Jacket, or you can go to lumberjacket.com, where you can learn a little bit more about the product, and that will have a direct link to the Amazon site as well. So that's where you go to find out more about it. We hope that sort of people take this on, we think that we've got strong belief in the product. We've invested a lot of time and resources into it, and we think that, like I said, it's really going to help a lot of people. And we also have an Instagram page, and by the time this goes live, we'll hopefully have a Twitter account and Facebook page as well, and maybe even a TikTok page with Ross dancing around in the jacket. I think a lot of people would like to see that. So we'll put all those links in the show notes, but the easiest way for people to find out more about us is just to go to lumberjacket.com.
All right, that's great. Well, thank you very much. I think that's a good place to leave it. So thank you for having me on as your guest host today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Sam. I'm trying to get used to it.
Done a great job.
Much
Maybe it's a nervous one here. Don't worry.
All right. Thanks, guys. And we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.